All right, folks, welcome back. So, still on paper two from November 2021. Social stratification is now done. Let's move on to crime and deviance. So, if we scroll down after the questions that we've already finished. So, after that final 9 marker from stratification, you get the crime and deviance topic. So, let's zoom in. First question, 6A. We've done this to death. Hopefully you know it by now. I hope this question comes up. Nice, easy marks for you. Anomie is the breakdown of social norms. It happens when someone aspires to be successful but lacks the means to do so. Remember, in a 2 marker, you have to put down a second point for the second mark. Or you give an example. In this case, it's a second point. So anomie is the breakdown of social norms. 1 mark. Second mark, it happens when someone aspires to be, tries to be successful, but lacks the means to do so, so they turn to crime. In your revision booklet, you've got this nicely laid out for you, outlined with examples, the difference between crime and deviance. So it says there, crime is any act that goes against the law. So you need to give an example. For example, murder. Deviance is an act that goes against expected norms and values. And then you need to explain this a little bit because this is 5 marks. You need to make sure you pick up all of those 5 marks. So deviance goes against expected norms and values. And you have to say deviance can change over time. It can change according to the situation. And it can change according to the culture you're in. Then you pick one of those to give an example. So I've put the culture example. For example, drinking alcohol is acceptable in the UK, but not in Muslim countries like Saudi Arabia. If you're going to give a change over time, you could give the homosexuality example. Social norms have changed around homosexuality. You could put divorce as an example. The stigma around divorce has changed over time. If you're going to give a situation example, the classic one we talked about in classes, going to the toilet is okay in a bathroom, it's not okay in public. So whatever is okay in one situation, not okay in the next. This one is your nicely structured kind of traditional 2, 5, 8, and 15 marks. So then we've got the 2, 5, we've got the 2 marker, got the 5 marker. Move on to the 8. This one again, you should know how to do an 8 marker. It says explore at least 2 ways in your response. So you need 3 ways. Now, you do have something in your revision guide saying how is the media linked to crime? And you've got 2 bullet points. That's 2. But I need to give 3. So I'm going to explain this for you. The first bullet point is from the revision booklet. I put the media. How is the media linked to crime? So influence crime. The media creates folk devils, bad guys to be scared of. They blame deviancy and criminality on these individuals or groups, saying asylum seekers, for example, are the cause of crime. Another way that media is linked to crime, the media creates a moral panic around groups. It hypes up the amount and the importance of a social problem. For example, moral panic around young people in hoodies hanging around on streets. How does that influence crime? Because they're labeled as thugs. People may see their behavior and start copying it, committing crimes in the process, or they react violently and aggressively against such groups. Another way that media can influence crime is that the media might post some issues or might give some issues more important than others. So the media might repost, repeat some issues or focus on some issues more than others. And I've given the example of they focus on people committing benefit fraud. What happens then, how does that influence the criminal system, is that the police and the courts start to treat these people more harshly, for example, giving them longer sentences. So if someone's been accused of committing benefit fraud, they will be treated more harshly than, for example, someone who's just committed fraud as a white-collar crime in the day-to-day part of their job. So 3 ways the media and crime are linked. They create folk devils and blame the crimes on them. They create a moral panic around certain groups that other people start copying or other people start violently reacting against. Or they influence crime because they have the police and the courts treat some people more harshly because they hype up the issue, like benefit fraud. So please make sure you can, the best thing here is, as always, it's easier to just listen to me or listen to kind of revision from anyone and just say, okay, I'm going to remember that. You have to try and answer this question yourself. So please make sure you practice answering this, because that will show you, okay, I know what I'm going to write. I know how to write this. This is me writing. You've got to try and do it yourself. The act of writing something, the practice of writing something will also help you remember it. So please don't just listen to this. That blank paper that I put up on Google Classroom, download it or print it off, or even just get a blank piece of paper, put the question at the top, and actually have a go at practicing this. And try and do it in 1 page, because you only get 1 page of writing here. Okay? Now we get onto the 15 marker. Discuss the Marxist view of crime. If you get any question saying discuss this view of crime, then you need to understand that it's asking you for that view of crime and other views as well. And it doesn't just have to be crime. So it could be a view of poverty, could be a view of family. Discuss this view. You have to give that view, and then, as I've said here, you need other views as well. The views tend to be quite simple, so you always have to give a functionalist view, you always have to give a Marxist view, and generally you have to give a feminist view as well. The last view you give is your own. So 4 views: functionalist, Marxist, feminist, and your own. So in this case, it says discuss the Marxist view. You could have been given discuss the functionalist view of crime. So then you give the functionalist one, the Marxist one, the feminist one, and your own. So what is the Marxist view of crime? You've got this on the revision booklet under the heading Perspectives on Why People Commit Crimes. So I've put an annotation here. The views of crime is about why people commit crimes. So according to Marxism, why do people commit crimes? I'm just going to follow the bullet points, and please follow along. And I've written this out as a proper paragraph. Go back and read that yourself. Make sure you can write it out properly, but follow along the bullet points. First thing, Marxist view of crime is that crime is caused by capitalism. It is a product of capitalism. How? Because capitalism keeps people unequal. It keeps some people poor and powerless, and other people rich and powerful. What it also tells you in this next point is that it's based on the values of materialism and competition. So capitalism promotes the idea that you need to be successful. So how is this linked to crime? People will try to get rich by any means, including illegal ones. They will compete with others and try to achieve success. Marxism also says that crimes committed by the rich and powerful middle classes, for example, white collar and corporate crimes, are ignored or not dealt with as harshly by the police. So all of that is the Marxist view of crime. Then you need to give other views. The functionalist view of crime, the functionalist view, however, says that people commit crimes, because remember this is about why people commit crimes. The functionalist view of crime, however, says that people commit crimes because they haven't been socialized properly into society's norms and values. This might be because of family breakdown, being raised by a lone parent, or because they lack role models. This is also in your revision booklet. So, link back to the question. People here commit crimes either because they don't agree with society's values or because they don't know any better. They don't have any positive role models. Then I'm going to give the other view, the gender one. People may also commit crimes due to their gender. Women are more likely to experience poverty, so commit crimes such as shoplifting and theft in order to deal with their poverty. Gender might also explain why men commit crimes, because boys are socialized to be more aggressive and active, and if they continue to be aggressive and physical, they can get in trouble for crimes such as assault. You've got the Marxist, functionalist, and the gender, the feminist explanation. Finally, ethnicity might be the cause of crime instead of capitalism. Ethnic minorities face higher levels of material deprivation. So what is that? It means they're more likely to live in areas of unemployment, poverty, and poor housing. So crime might be the result of their frustration with this situation. So they commit things like vandalism and graffiti because of their situation. So in conclusion, you do need a conclusion. Discuss the Marxist view of crime is basically asking you, is this the best view, the best reason? So I put, in conclusion, Marxist view that capitalism is the cause of crime isn't the only factor on why crime exists. Other factors such as gender and a lack of socialization play a role as well. So that's crime and deviance. 15 marker. And in crime and deviance, normally you get something around the different perspectives on crime. You might get something about why official statistics can't be reliable. So basically how crime is measured. So if official statistics don't spot all the crime that goes on because it doesn't catch the dark figure of crime, how do we get around that? Well, we get around that from victim surveys and self-report studies. So there might be something on how crime is measured. Usually that comes up in many years. Didn't come up in this exam, but it does come up a lot. You might get something around, who commits crimes more than others. So men commit more crimes than women. And you have to say, well, why that's the case. And then you say there are other reasons why people commit crimes as well. So the working class, men, ethnic minorities. You might get something, an 8 marker on why women commit less crimes than men. We've done this in class. Okay, so for crime and deviance, everything I put in that table in those two pages in your revision booklet, you have to know them. Because crime and deviance, all of that stuff can come up as a 5 marker, an 8 marker, or a 15 marker. So 5 markers tend to be around how social order is maintained, how social control happens. The 8 markers tend to be about why some people commit crimes, a specific group, or why official statistics can't be trusted. The 15 marker tends to be about why some people commit crimes or the perspectives on why crime happens. If you need to listen to that, rewind it and repeat it, okay? So the different themes that come up. So you got 8 marker, 5 marker, 2 marker. Now, let's go down to research methods. Might as well just finish this off in the second video. So in the second paper, all questions apply to the research study that you get given. So you need to know your research methods. So what is the study? A secondary school wants to find out about the reasons for children not attending school. The researcher has decided to use questionnaires to investigate this. So you have to know questionnaires. You also need to know interviews, and you also need to know observations. You need to know the advantages and the disadvantages of all 3 of them. The second thing you have to know are primary and secondary data. Primary data is something you collect yourself. Secondary data has been put together by someone else, and the advantages of those. You also have to know qualitative and quantitative data. Qualitative is information, doesn't involve numbers, it's more detailed, it's writing. Quantitative is numbers, statistics, helps you spot patterns and trends. Please make sure you know your research methods stuff in detail. All right. So let's focus on this question then. If a secondary school wants to find out the reasons why people aren't attending schools, they've decided to use a questionnaire to investigate this. Identify one practical problem the researcher might have. Well, think about it logically. They want to investigate why some people aren't attending schools by giving out a questionnaire. The people they want to study might not be in school, might not be reachable. So how are you going to study it? So it's a practical problem. Okay. Other practical problems can be not enough time. Another practical problem might be it's too expensive. Not for this study, but in general. So practical problems are all the practical stuff that can go wrong. Usually, do you have access? How much time is it going to take? How much is it going to cost? B, outline 2 reasons why questionnaires would be a suitable method for this research. Why questionnaires would be suitable for investigating children not attending schools. Okay. Well, questionnaires are quick and easy to fill in, so they can collect a large sample for their study. So they can collect a lot of information from lots of different students across lots of different schools and have a large sample, which means their research is more representative. And remember, you have to link everything back to how accurate something is, how valid, how reliable their data is, or how representative their data is. Or you can link it to ethical issues, like how safe things are. So I'm linking this one to representativeness. I'm going to link the other one to make it being more reliable. So 2 reasons why questionnaires would be suitable for investigating children not attending schools. Well, they're quick and easy to fill in. They can collect a large sample. Large samples make the research more representative. Second reason, results from questionnaires can be analyzed for trends and patterns, giving the researcher insights from lots of different places that they can use to make judgments. This makes their findings more reliable. You only need to give 2 reasons. Give the reason, explain it. Give the reason, explain it. 4 marker. Then you get a 6 marker. It's going to ask you to compare 2 research methods. Why is one method better than the other one? So in this case, discuss and evaluate the benefits of using unstructured interviews instead of questionnaires for this research about why people don't attend schools. So you have to know what an unstructured interview is. So obviously an unstructured interview is where you don't have a script. You're interviewing someone just by talking to them. You're not sticking to a script. So what's the benefit of that? Well, the benefit is that the researcher gains a richer, detailed picture because they can get a more detailed answer in an interview than they can in questionnaires. So this increases the validity of their research. And then you have to compare it to questionnaires. Questionnaires usually produce statistical, quantitative data that is simplistic. Then you have to give your however. Why might it not be the best? Because it says evaluate and discuss. So why would unstructured interviews be better? Why might they not be better? That's what you have to show. So they'd be better because you get a more detailed, richer picture. But this depends on how skilled the interviewer is at asking follow-up questions. If they don't have that skills, questionnaires or structured interviews might be better. So again, listen carefully. I'm going to tell you how to answer this question in general. You will get asked to compare 2 different research methods. Why is one better than the other for the study that you're given? You have to say why it's better. Then you have to say why it might not be better. So I'll say that again. You have to show one reason why it's better and explain it. But then you have to say, however, it might not be better because of this reason. And you do that twice. Okay? So I've said it will be better for a detailed, richer picture, but it might not be better because It depends on how skilled the interviewer is at asking questions. So the second reason why unstructured interviews might be better, because researchers can build up a relationship or rapport with the person they're interviewing, the subject, and develop trust. Why does that make it better? Because this makes the subject, the person you're interviewing, answer more honestly than in just a questionnaire, increasing its accuracy. But why might this not be better? Because it can also lead to interviewer bias. And you need to explain that. It's where the interviewer, the people give answers they think the interviewer wants to hear. So the findings aren't valid. So, 6 marker for this one. You have to give why something is better than something else, but then why might it not be? You have to give both sides. All right. Look at my answers carefully. Go through this video carefully as well. If you want to practice the questions and bring them in for me to answer, please do so. All right. There's a second paper that I'm going to put along with this as well. That's going to be a completely blank one. I haven't made a video on that. If you want to practice that as well, give it a shot. Bring it to me. I'll mark it. Okay. I'm going to stop it here. Best of luck. Please make sure you practice answering these questions, because if you don't practice answering them, you will get stuck. You will freeze when the actual exam comes. You can't just hear this stuff and think you're going to do it. You have to actually practice answering it. All right. Best of luck.